Right. For those who are just tuning in, Jenni just started with the supper club. Her focus is special suppers. She's been making black bean brownies, and I'm sorry for getting the live stream late. Here she is.
Just have one tray instead of two. But being a mom, someone that really needs to like fellowship, I'm always making like a double. So Susie, that's a very good point. So I'm actually gonna, no, we're gonna have to blend it because I have to have my blender. All right, when I'm on, I'm gonna have someone come and work this. You can do that. And we're gonna actually do the scalloped potatoes while she does this. All right, so we're gonna move on to scalloped potatoes over here. Okay, I don't want to take this one. So scalloped potatoes, I would like maybe, here, do you want to help? All right, come on. Was that all right, go ahead and sanitize, put one of those on. All right. So we're going to. The scalloped potatoes are pretty simple. So the recipe technically calls for you to mix all your ingredients like coconut milk, your garlic powder, your onion powder, and salt in a bowl first, and then pour it on there, and then like press it down. I'll be honest, I skip that because I don't want to make more dishes. So I didn't do that on the other ones, and I'm probably not. I'll make it how I did it in there. So maybe it incorporates it better. It always turns out good. All right, you ready? You're gonna help pour, or you're gonna try the camera? All right, girl, do the camera. Let's see how you got the skills. Good job. All right, she's got it. And then can I have a volunteer who would be willing to slice a few potatoes for me? Okay, come on, buddy. Sanitize your gloves. I will. We love the kids up here. I don't know, Zealous. I might test you on this, Jory. We'll see. Yeah. He comes in with me in the kitchen quite a bit. So that's very cool. All right. So always kind of shake your coconut milk beforehand because the fat tends to go to the top, and you want it incorporated. That's another reason it's good to kind of put it in another thing. It's good. So if your coconut milk is not shaking well and really liquidy, then we go ahead and just use a bowl so you can really incorporate it. But we're gonna just put it's so. All right, here you go ahead and pour that right on there. Don't touch yourself. Oh, good. All right. She looks like I do. And Wyatt, would you? Thank you. That wasn't what I was saying. But Susie, could you get me two? One cup of water. Would you mind getting me 1 cup? Thank you. All right. All right, so let's ready to cut. Hold on, nobody with the gloves on. We'll try it. So I used a mandolin to slice these, but you can just slice them thinly with your butcher knife like this. And it's also got an onion in there. If you guys don't like onion, you can omit the onion, but I did. So I'm gonna let you do something else, okay? I'll let you put these in the pan. So we're just gonna slice it up as thin as you can get it. Thank you. Can I ask you a question? Sure. So do you use cheese in yours? No cheese. No cheese. And next, Dallas is going to pour our water on top. This original recipe, when I got it from the cookbook, originally had you boil the potatoes first, but you couldn't overboil them, and then you had to strain them, then you had to bake them. So I was like, I'm all about making it simple. So I'm like, you know what, if I add more water to the recipe while I'm baking it, bake it a little longer, then I don't have to sit there watching these potatoes trying to boil and trying to, every time I did it, I would overcook the potatoes and it was frustrating. So this way, I adapted the recipe. Go ahead, Sarah, before that. And so you add water, it probably doesn't make it as rich. Measuring spoons over there, go ahead and get a tablespoon for me. I almost do it from memory this one. You think it's good to go?
Yep, right.
All right. You want to do that? That's a tablespoon. All right. Maybe we can have, anybody want to volunteer to put these in here? I'm going to call on it. No, Mom. Let's, Jennifer, you want to put them in or you don't feel like it today?
I don't feel like it.
Okay. How about you, Rose? You want to come on over and help put some in there? I fill them about halfway. Actually, can we scrape it into there? It makes it so much easier to do it from there. Sanitize and gloves. Okay, kids, back over here. So you're going to fill those just about halfway because that's just how you do it. All right, we are going to go with our granulated onion.
Thank you.
If someone were to say, what are the two most used ingredients in my kitchen? It would be onion powder and garlic powder and salt. Onion powder, garlic powder. All right, so here we're going to do, from my remembrance, it's 2 tablespoons of onion and 1 tablespoon. And let me ask this, do you guys, did you try it with the carrot? You're okay with the oil?
Yeah.
Do you want me to make this without so you can have another one? Okay, I'll make it without the carrot chips, and these ones will be completely oil-free, okay? You guys can try it without the carrot chips. All right, Curie, it's gonna be 2 tablespoons. Okay, right over there.
I already put the carrot chips in.
Oh, you did? Oh, you
I'm
blended?
so sorry.
Oh, you blended it?
Blended it.
Oh,
I
you
just
put
threw
it
it in at the last.
That's okay, no problem. She was on autopilot because she's made these before.
Oh.
And then we need our salt. Oh. That's okay, that's okay. All right. Your hands don't go around. And you did 2 of those? All right. Dallas, you're gonna do 1 of these. So,
I think so.
kids in the kitchen. It's a little messy. All right, sprinkle it on there. That's true. True. All right, kids, thank you for your help. All right, let's give them a round of applause, you guys. All right, and thank you, Bree, too, and Rose for being willing to cook up here. I'm gonna put the salt. Now, it is kind of a lot of salt, I was noticing. So I'm gonna put half of salt. It's a tablespoon of salt for this tray. So I'm putting half of this.
I encourage her to put salt when you make it less, and then people can add it for flavor when they're actually eating.
It's so good when it gets cooked. Anyway, yes, please, thank you. So with this, when you do it this way, you really do have to kind of get in there with, since you're not mixing it in the bowl ahead of time. Again, you don't get an extra dish, so just kind of mix it around.
Does this normally feel like bone? Because I don't think I might have it. Maybe I got it.
Yeah, you could probably take some from others. It's
Not yet.
the recipe makes about 1.5 to 2.
I don't think
I was able to spread it to 2. I don't know how. Because on my original recipe, it does say 1.5. But then I was like, oh, it's working to make 2. All right. So then you spread it thin. And this takes about 6 cups of potatoes, depending on the size of your potatoes. And then you sprinkle it with some paprika. Really just Depends on how much you like. And then you would cover this with parchment paper and foil, which I don't have up front here. So we're just gonna take that to the back. We'll, Wyatt?
Okay.
You take this to the back, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see where we are. We're gonna make gravy next. And actually, I'm gonna have them make this. It's okay if it doesn't make all of them. Yeah, you just fill them up with vegetables. Thank you so much, Rose. All right. And why take this to the back? So there's your black tea brownies. Gonna go in the oven. All right, let's move on to our gravy. We're pretty good on time, I have to say. I do not. So here's powder. Unsweetened powder. It's just gonna be an Amazon order or a healthy food. Like I said, you can use cocoa powder, but you don't get as many nutritional benefits and there are, not as good stuff about coffee. About caffeine. But yeah, that would be an Amazon or a health store. Kara. So this mushroom gravy, you guys, even if you don't like mushrooms, if you don't like mushrooms, you can pulverize it till it just disappears in the gravy. But I do think that if you took them out of the recipe, it would probably make the flavor not as flavorful. So if you don't like mushroom chunks, just wait till it's. So I won't embarrass anybody saying I like mushrooms, but that's what I would do with it.
But I always keep.
So this recipe. We are going to use raw cashews. So do not use, this is too big. So this is Amazon. You're going to hear me say Amazon. We lived on the road, so Amazon. And I like this brand, Sincerely Nuts. Sincerely Nuts. So let's see. I need my measuring cups back. Is anybody in the kitchen washing my measuring cups?
There's none in there.
The metal measuring cups? Should be. All right, so you're gonna take everything except for the mushrooms. You're gonna wait on the mushrooms. We'll just go with it. So this is half cup. I'm gonna do a little bit less. How I cook. Anybody else do that when they cook? Just but it's something that's not. And then this is vegetable bouillon. You can get this at Walmart. I did look at the ingredients and it does have oil in it. But it's so minute. It's the second to the last ingredient, soybean oil. So it's probably pretty small in this, and then going in here it goes even less. So you can try a different kind of vegetable broth, or powder, like a beef style seasoning, but it's my favorite. Thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate that. All right. So it's just cashews. And Carrie, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Fill that up to the 2 line there. I'll have them in there do that. Then we're gonna do 1 tablespoon. This stuff is very salty.
Like it.
Don't add any salt to any recipe. You can use this for. I will tell you that. I made a mistake. I made a green bean casserole, so that's my favorite Thanksgiving, like, dish. If you, yeah, favorite Thanksgiving dish is a green bean casserole. And I looked for a long time for a substitute for cream of mushroom soup. And then I ran across this recipe for this gravy. It's like a cream of mushroom soup. And so I literally follow the Campbell's, standard green bean casserole, but I use my mushroom gravy as the cream of mushroom. So you can use this in any place that you would have a cream of mushroom. And you could probably just do a little less water so that it's a little bit thicker, depending on the recipe. 2 cups of water. Your base, and then your cornstarch. I really like these kind of oh yeah, I should get some volunteers. I'll get that for the gluten loaf.
Hey, Jenny,
Yeah,
is this tofu, is that water packed tofu?
there's no tofu in this one.
No, I mean on the recipe. For gravy.
It says tofu.
It says, or a hatchet block.
Oh, I have never made it with tofu. I put it there because I think it would turn out okay. I can't vouch for the tofu. So, I would probably use water packed tofu. Test it out and let me know if it works. Because I did that so that if you didn't have a high-speed blender, I thought, that would probably be the best substitute I would use is a tofu. So try it out and then please text me and let me know so that I know I can actually vouch for that. Me putting the recipe books I never tried, probably not the wisest idea, but I do have, by the way, all these recipes are in my cookbook. I have in the original, they are not adapted to take out the oil as I have here, but they are for a donation of 5 or more. So if you want to see that afterwards. So you don't want to add the mushrooms until after you've blended, unless, like I said, you're gonna pulverize it anyway. Sorry, so then you're gonna, and you do it with the juice, and this is the size can you want to get. You could do double the recipe and get the bigger can and do the double, and then freeze it, and it's actually really, it's great. Do like 4 times, do it in batches because your blender won't like that, but put it in freezer bags, and then you have gravy as needed. So because it's so simple, you just pour it in. And I'm gonna make it. Does anybody want me to pulverize this? Because I already have some chunky over there. No? Is everybody okay with? Okay, I'm gonna pulverize this one. I'm gonna do a little separate one so that you don't feel. Some people are texture things. So we'll pulverize it. Ready? It's gonna be loud for the camera.
No, I was asking you to speak loud for the camera.
Oh, speak loud for the camera. Is it live streaming? Hi, is there anyone watching?
We'll be there for later.
All right, we'll be there for later. Mushroom gravy, if you take this back, put it in a separate. And,
I'm not a kitchen person.
he's not usually in the kitchen. There's one in the cabinet right next to the stove. Help him out. And maybe could you put both those on low?
Yes.
Tammy, the gravy?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and our last, and my favorite, and So pretty much everything today I used the blender board, if you notice. The juice from the mushrooms, I think, is a very key element of this recipe. But, because I pour it with the juice in the end. But you know, you could probably saute the mushrooms. They need to be like, the flavor needs to be in there for mushrooms. So if you saute it with a little bit of water maybe, or even if it kind of creates some juices when you do mushrooms. You probably need to add a little more liquid. Have enough juice, like you saw the can there, it probably had the equivalent of that much juice. You can try it, it might have a superior flavor, so try it, tell me, because I'd like to know. So I think when we take recipes that we like, and then we can either make them simpler or taste better, why not? That's the fun of cooking, right? So yeah, try it out and tell me, I've never done this route. All right, and I am gonna call some helpers up for this.
Making now? What are you making now?
I am making a turkey loaf for those watching online, and I'm just making sure everything's in the oven. The gravy is warming. The brownies have been eaten, and I do think there are some leftovers. And the brownies, the other ones may not be cooked in time, actually, I just realized.
What do you?
I'm gonna, so the brownies you wanna cook for 30 minutes or more. I have found that they don't seem, they sort of come out clean when you poke them, but because they're beans, I kind of tend more toward 30 to 40 minutes. Then I take them out, and even if they're not poking clean, if you leave them in the pan, kind of let them just cool in the pan. And the key is, if you want them to taste like those and have that texture like that and not seem like raw in the middle, which they're not, because they're like brownies and oats, which that can be eaten for breakfast because it's like literally maple syrup, oats and black beans. I mean, it's like you could have a breakfast brownie and not feel too bad about it. But the key on those is like really let them firm up, either in the pan, or I personally like to put them in the refrigerator and then they're firm. If you like them warmer, I would put them in the fridge and then just like warm it a little in the microwave. But the key on the firmness is that's going to make them be more like a brownie. Otherwise, it's just going to feel, I don't know how to put it. Yeah. Is
there anything you want us to turn
I do
on?
want to turn on, but I don't think anybody knows how to use the convection oven. So I'm gonna just run in there 1 second, but while I do that, I'm gonna put someone on a task. So we're gonna first, I'm gonna ask one of these ladies, would you be willing to come up, Marion or Marilyn? Okay, all right, come on over and sanitize and put some gloves, or sanitize just real well. I think that's okay. Most of it's just going in the blender, so not really. I'm gonna have you put the chickpeas, basically, we're putting everything in here but the gluten flour. So this, I'll be back in my literally. I better get my water too, 3/4 cup. All right, so we're gonna put this in there. And I'm gonna give you some breaks. You see the recipe right there in front of you. All right. So the only thing we don't want to add is the gluten flour. Right? Nutritional yeast is really high in B12. And these have been drained and rinsed. For this loaf, I feel like it wouldn't really affect it because it's a savory loaf anyways. But I've never really not followed that step, so. There's that. All right, so just, I'm gonna get the water, 2/3, right? 3/4, 3/4. Okay, 3/4. All right, I'm gonna leave
Just
it
for the
on.
benefit of the live, all you guys, I just want to reiterate, September 10th, mark that on your calendars. We're going to do our Ancient Health Secrets Revealed seminar at Boyd County Library, New Albany, on Spring Street, main library there. We're going to be talking about how you can naturally supercharge your immune system to help ward off sicknesses, viruses, and things, especially as we're coming into the fall and flu season and all these things. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be talking a lot of things that you can do and just to supercharge your immune system. So if you're seeing us on the live stream, please come out September 10th, 3 o'clock. Boy, kind of library. Yes, question.
All right, I don't always have a way to get there. Is it gonna be
Live stream, perhaps?
where,
We might try it. We'll see. God willing. Pray about it.
I really hated missing the diabetic one.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if you had these things to where they would be available to wear.
Well, I appreciate that feedback. So now that I know that we'll try to, if we can, we'll try to live stream. And maybe if we can't live stream, maybe we can record it. And then
I
we
would
can do that.
appreciate it.
Okay, that's a quick commercial.
All righty. This is nutritional yeast. I like these containers.
Does it say?
I know, I'm sorry. So we're putting nutritional yeast, we're putting cashews, we are putting, water, which, I dropped the water, didn't I? Oh, I went to get it, and I have it in there.
You're too young to do that.
Jenny?
All right, where's the water?
Look for that white, no, look for the seasoning.
Oh, the it's over here, the little one. So we're doing our water.
Jenny, I didn't see,
Here's it.
I didn't see cashews on that recipe.
No, it doesn't have cashews, I forgot. I don't remember. This one is also a very good recipe for freezing. So if you want to make it ahead of time, I would cook it all the way through, with the scalloped potatoes, you could probably do everything and freeze them if you wanted and then just cook them after, but I tend to cook them all the way through, even the potatoes, and then freeze it. So then I'm thawing it and just really doing it. So, but the loaf, yeah, it freezes well. Then you just thaw it out. It slices. It's great for sandwiches.
Her husband really likes it.
He loves it.
A lot. Just to put some tomatoes, onions, veggies on there. Makes it really good. Like pretty good guy.
I know. I know. I put her up here and I don't have anything labeled. Okay.
Say more good stuff.
It's
Very healthy.
Oh, you did double.
Yes.
All right.
That's good for you.
Onion powder.
Excellent for you.
No, it'll be okay. So onion powder.
No
stress, right? Oh, no, you're fine. Look, I mean, it's just a little. It depends.
That's how good recipes are found, is by,
So this is just a great recipe, and with the savory, it's really not gonna matter. Okay, so butter, did you put the Raminos? Okay. So so it is a alternative to soy sauce, so it's not fermented. Half the sodium. It's still very salty, but apparently it's half the sodium. I'm gonna talk to her. It is. All right.
And it's
We're
weird
good
for
to go. Oh, wait. You put the bouillon? So you put the poultry seasoning, but did you put this one? You did, okay, she's on it.
She's there, doesn't it?
All right, go ahead and,
I don't know how
you don't make this.
one works. I don't know.
She's guessing on how much the price of it was, but we're not allowed to tell you because it was a gift from my husband. Thank you. Oh, that's Marilyn. Marilyn. Everybody give a round of applause for Marilyn.
Yeah. What are you using for the poultry season?
Just poultry seasoning. Poultry seasoning. It's,
McCormick's.
yeah, it's thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, oh, it has black pepper in it, nutmeg. I usually try to stay away from black pepper, I didn't know that had that. But, it's an irritant on the stomach, so black pepper, especially if you have stomach issues,
we don't want
you
that.
wanna stay away from black pepper. Yeah, so I don't know. So maybe I'll have to make my own poultry seasoning with the other thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary, and nutmeg. Nutmeg, that is interesting. Good to know.
And did you use sage as well?
Yeah, you could use sage, and you know, I have actually made this loaf without poultry seasoning, and it turns out fine. So, but I do think the key is these guys. So, I mean, you can even omit that. All right, well, we're going to next. So when you're blending this, you're gonna wanna fill up a pot with some water on the bottom and get that going. It's gonna be steaming it. So this is not even baked in the oven. This is steamed. Yeah. And so we're gonna take this, my big massive bowl in the kitchen. There's like a massive, oh, it's not, I take that.
So what is it just in the black pepper that irritates your stomach?
Yeah.
Dr. Swain, we have a question over here. What in the black pepper irritates the stomach? Do you have any authoritative, you want to come up here so the camera can hear you, or, I don't have any, I don't know.
Cause I didn't know that, cause I use quite.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, you might be doing it now.
I mean, I'm not, it's here and there, but if you really like black pepper, that's gonna.
Yeah, it's actual in the component of the black pepper berry, the corn thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a component that I don't know the scientific name of it, but one of the main components, it irritates the gastrointestinal lining specifically.
Oh,
And so
we don't want that.
if you are, a lot of people eat it, enjoy it, but if you have any type of stomach issues,
Yeah.
I mean, I personally
Yeah, they leave
recommend
me
this in general, but especially if you have any type of irritable bowel, inflammatory bowel, a Crohn's or anything like that, I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
Do you have any substitution recommendations, like Mrs. Dash or something like that?
Amazingly,
Irritates your stomach.
cayenne pepper does not have the same irritant in it. And so if you want a little bit of, cayenne pepper is much more stomach friendly, even though it burns kind of going in. But there are other substitutes that you can get online, or substitutes if you have those type of issues. Again, if you don't have, I don't know, but if somebody with irritable bowel or inflammatory bowel syndrome, they would know it, but there are substitutes online.
Okay, cause I'm sorry, but I actually had asked Google a question about the seed of papaya. And they said they actually use those for pepper.
I was
that's why
actually, when you saying that, it reminded me that you can use papaya seeds. So you take papaya seeds, let them dry out, you can put them in a pepper grinder, and it actually is supposed to be like pepper, it's kind of got that.
It's pretty strong.
And it is strong, but what's neat about papaya seeds is it's actually very good for your stomach and very healing for it. So trade out your peppercorns for papaya seeds that are dried out. So,
Parasites.
The black pepper contains a chemical called piperine, and piperine might increase levels of nephropene.
Oh,
there
In
you
the body.
go.
There it is, thank you.
wow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, so for this
So
loaf,
that leaves me out.
I'm going to get my measuring cup. And our speaker. So once you've actually done the blending, then you're just gonna take your wheat gluten. So this is called Vital Wheat Gluten. Obviously, if you're gluten intolerant or have some issues that you need to stay away from wheat, this loaf probably wouldn't be the best for you. Maybe just try a little bit. But generally speaking, if you don't have issues with gluten, Vital Wheat Gluten is very high in protein. So, it's good to know, it's very, very, very high in protein. It's just a certain part of the wheat itself, so they kind of like separate it out from the rest of the wheat, the gluten part of it.
Is it organic? Is it organic?
It is. Non-GMO, vegan. It's non-GMO. I probably should have gotten organic. GMO version. All right, so we're gonna do 1.5 cups.
And do sold at Kroger's. Bob's written.
So the recipe I'm making makes 1 loaf. I typically double the recipe because, well, if I'm gonna go through making this, then why not make double or triple or 4 times the recipe? Because it does take a long time on the stove. Actually, Randall, do you want to get this pot for me? And filling just the bottom with water. You can steam this in water or in vegetable broth. I'm just, for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna just steam it in. You're gonna not taste it, we're gonna cook it, but I can take it home. I forgot. You usually want to try to like put a little bit, stir it, put a little bit. I found that just makes it, for some reason, not get as fibrous. We'll see how it goes. Every time's a little different. So with this one, don't feel like you did something wrong if it's looking like if the texture looks like, I don't know how to describe it. So I'm just gonna mix it with a spoon first. Okay. So this is just a very,
We're done.
hardly anything mixed. But you're gonna see I'm gonna change the texture by really mixing it up. So that's just the basics. Then you literally have to get your hands in this thing. And I know Tammy's worked with gluten, so she knows what I'm talking about. She taught us actually last supper club. Was it last supper club? Or no, one before Anna. Anna was last time and used, but you made like a type. I think it's steaks. Did it have garbanzo? Yeah. So this one has the garbanzo beans, but do you see how it's kind of turning into like a loaf almost, like bread?
She said she wanted to steam.
Oh. Jenny, did you want the water steamed?
Yeah, it's gonna start steaming. Put it on high.
Put it on high.
So it's gonna look like that when you're
Yeah,
working with
she's gonna
it.
get you.
Yeah, you guys make gluten.
Yeah.
Back in bed, right? Have you made gluten before? Kind of, it's almost like, it almost turns like the fiber, sort of. So, I saw it. Or dough, kind of looks like dough as you're kneading it. And you do, once you mix it, I originally had on the recipe, mix it for 10 minutes, knead it for 10 minutes. No, I'm gonna have to sit there for 10 minutes. That's the way I cook, you guys. I'm like, Jenny's like, well, let's cut this in half and see if it still turns out. So I knead it for about 5 minutes. And I don't even know if I knead it fully for 5 minutes. Turns out it's fine. So we're just gonna knead it. Now, if anybody does want to actually touch it, it really just feels like bread dough, but if you want to, you're welcome to come get a glove and come and press it if you want to feel it. You do? All right, come get a glove on. So the water is steaming or your vegetable broth. That's the 3 cups extra that you see on the recipe on the bottom. Yeah, it's just like Play-Doh, right? Now, the hardest part, I feel like, of this recipe is forming the loaf. Because the bottom, like, tends to not want to. So then you're just going to kind of, I don't know, I probably didn't even need it for 5 minutes. Anybody? You just squeeze it. It's not anything fancy. And then even if there's like little things like that, it's fine because you're gonna slice it. So you can use this for sandwiches, as my husband said, or you can do it like kind of like a turkey dinner. So you would slice it up, put your gravy on it, or you can do it like sliced turkey. You can even do it in chunks, make a little chicken salad. You could put it on a salad like chicken chunks. Anything you would kind of use turkey or chicken for is what you could use this for. And we're just like that. See, my bottom is not perfect. It's not gonna matter. You're gonna put it in a steamer basket. Did I show you guys that? So like broccoli steamer, then you know those metal things, they go, or if you have an insert that goes in the pan, the one with the holes. You just put it right on there and you steam it for like an hour to an hour and a half. So you just, and the only thing is just check every once in a while to make sure that the water, make sure it's, you put it on low to medium so that it's steaming. And just check your water once in a while. I don't usually have to baste it or anything, but the way you know it's done, you're definitely gonna wanna do at least an hour. Sometimes I just kind of put it there. But it's when you flip it over, you'll see the little dots from your steamer basket, but it should have a little bit of a brown color. Now, I did take pictures, but I didn't put them much picture. But I'm gonna.
That's not what we're taking about.
I don't know where I'm going. So if you want to see kind of the color change, I did take pictures when I made these loaves. I apologize, I forgot to put it on the side. But that is pretty much, that's it, honey. I'm gonna go put this loaf in the steamer. And was there any other questions?
I make a mock turkey.
Okay.
Dan's mother gave me the recipe for when I met him and everything else. Now in it, you use asparagus juice. She said that's what gives it the turkey-like taste.
Huh,
So that's what I was wondering. Wonder how it would be substituting the vegetable broth.
with like a asparagus juice. Do you get that from like canned asparagus?
Yeah.
Interesting. So asparagus juice, she's saying, is kind of an interesting, if to steam it with it, or even to use the
It's
water.
not steamed, it's baked.
Yours is baked. Yeah, there's lots of different recipes. This is technically called seitan.
Satan.
Seitan. How do you say it? Seitan.
Satan, I've heard as well.
I did want to show, Nancy had something she wanted to share that she found. Come on up and show us that. Oh, it's Bernard found it.
It's a cereal.
Here, I'll make it so you
yeah.
can see it. So it's a cereal, it's called Ezekiel 4:9. They also make a sprouted wheat bread, which is really great. And you know,
It's been around for a good
it's
while.
been around for a while, so this is actually a really great cereal with a lot of great sprouted wheat, sprouted barley, and when you sprout something, it magnifies the value. So, thank you for sharing.
They have the Ezekiel bread.
Yeah,
too.
sure.
Yeah, the bread in the freezer section. But this says Ezekiel 4:9, also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and spelt and put them in vessel and make bread with it. Ezekiel 4:9. So that's from the Bible. So.
While she's continuing on here, I want to just ask a general question. Does anybody have a special, maybe they've been transitioning away from meat to a more plant-based diet, but there's something you really miss, that you'd like to have? And, you know, we've got to consider future supper clubs, and I'm just really curious, does anybody have a special food that they really would like to see a plant-based version of that maybe we can demonstrate in the future?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken, okay.
Jennifer, what was yours?
Well, mine's an old recipe, and I had changed it. Initially, it was made with ground pork, but I've used venison and everything to get away from the pork. But I don't know that you could actually make a vegetarian.
So a ground pork that's meat,
It's a
meatless.
cake.
It's a cake, okay, kind of like a meatloaf.
It's a German cake, done in a buffet, but it's real old, and it, like she said, it was always made with ground pork,
I see.
but.
I've used ground turkey and I've
Ground
used
turkey
venison.
and.
Well, pass along the recipe, maybe
Yeah,
to
maybe we
me
can,
or
I
the team,
can
and
play
then.
around with it and see if I can come up with something.
Yeah.
Try crumbles?
Yeah, crumb, I don't know. I bet
And
better than,
TDP.
TDP one.
It
That
makes
would be too, that's.
Too crumbly.
It got real soft, because
I would think the Beyond Burger would probably be the best bet for that one. Beyond Burger.
But again, even with the Beyond Burger and other things, one thing that's really good to learn and to try to grow into is to try to make, Whole Foods whole. That's kind of our goal, right? So, everyone's to Whole Foods whole, that's our goal. I like that. So if that's our goal, to get as close to nature as possible, getting off the store shelf like a substitute meat, while it may taste good, I'm gonna admit, I like some of those, Impossible Burgers and what's that other one called? The Beyond Burger. I like the flavor of those things, but that's still not the healthiest. So, even learning how to make your own patties, right? Those would be good things to do. Because you have simple recipes, but they process them so that they can be in the store shelves forever, right? So that they can maximize profits. I'm not downplaying that. I'm glad there's substitutes out there as people are transitioning, but we want to be able to have natural food as possible. So any other real quick suggestions of things to do for future supper clubs? Like I recommended, I like to eat large salads. When we eat our lunches, we normally have a large salad the first thing we eat before we touch anything else. And my wife makes an excellent dressing that I don't think she has any measurements for it. She just goes like, adds this and that on, and all of a sudden it's like delicious. So I wonder if we could do like salads and dressings, because wouldn't we eat more vegetables if we had more, good dressings that doesn't have all the fat, doesn't have all the sugar, all those things that aren't the best. A lot of those dressings just aren't that healthy. So.
I started with the dressings, I just squeeze lemon and lime.
And that's what I'm saying, having like a good spread of some options to teach. So any other suggestions besides that?
Yes, 2 positives to switching over and making your own like hamburgers and stuff is you save a lot of money. And like if you live alone, it's okay. These things freeze very well. Just put them in little plastic baggies and then put them in the freezer bag. That way you pull out what you need at that moment.
Great suggestions.
I really like breakfast scrambles
Yeah.
and anything breakfast themed.
We
We
had
had one.
it was a few months, it was
No, we
several
didn't
months
do that
back,
one.
but it was a really good one. Tangible's that one. Yeah. But, you had one?
Yeah, that turned out to not fly.
All right, just gonna throw that out there.
So
If you have any more suggestions, let's let us know.
I mean, yeah.
Yes, and we did you are taking into consideration the stuff you've done on the registration card. We're gonna go ahead and transition into eating. So I'd love it if, I'm gonna pull these kind of this way, and if everybody can kind of help you can turn this front row around, and then some of the guys maybe can grab some tables. I would love for us to all sit together in this room.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut the live stream, but if you're interested in coming out to the supper club, we have it about once a month. Get in touch with us. You can check out our website at newalbanysda.org, newalbanysda.org. Or you could also contact my wife and myself. My email is pastorwyatallen@gmail.com, and we meet usually about third Sundays of the month. It kind of varies. I'm glad to have you guys out. We're at 1101 Silver Street, New Albany, Indiana. 47150, I think it is. Hope to see you guys out. God bless.
Down here, that one.